When I was young, my English was very poor. I was afraid to speak. I knew many words, but when I met foreigners, I froze. Then I realized learning English is not about how smart you are, it is about how brave you are. If you want to learn English very fast, don't just sit with grammar books. Grammar is important, but speaking is more important. A baby never learns grammar first, right? A baby listens, then speaks. So listen more. Watch movies, listen to English songs, talk to friends in English. Imitate the way they speak. Second, don't be afraid of mistakes. You will make 100 mistakes, maybe 1,000 mistakes. Good. Every mistake is progress. If you never open your mouth, you will never learn. People laugh at your English. Let them laugh. One day they will clap for you. Third, think in English. Stop translating from your language. When you see an apple, just say apple in your mind, not your local word. Slowly, your brain will respond in English naturally. And most important, practice every day. Not 1 hour in 1 week, but 10 minutes every day. Consistency is the secret. Day by day, you will see improvement. Month by month, you will see confidence. One day, you will surprise yourself. So, my advice, don't wait for perfect English. Start with your broken English. Broken English today, fluent English tomorrow. When people think about learning English, the first picture in their mind is sitting with a heavy grammar book, underlining rules, memorizing vocabulary lists, and doing written exercises. That is studying, and studying is good, but studying alone will not make you speak fast, natural English. You can read 1,000 grammar rules, but when someone asks you, "How are you today?" you may still freeze and not know what to say. This is why practice is more powerful than just study. Think about how a child learns their first language. The child does not start with grammar books. The child does not know the meaning of past tense, present continuous, or subject and verb agreement. The child only listens and practices. First, they hear their parents speak, then they repeat the sounds, and slowly they connect those sounds to meaning. In the beginning, the words are broken, funny, sometimes even wrong, but parents never laugh. They encourage the child to keep speaking. And one day, without realizing it, the child becomes fluent. This is the natural way of learning, and it works faster than sitting silently and memorizing. If you want to learn English fast, you must make practice a daily habit. It does not matter if your pronunciation is not perfect. It does not matter if your grammar is not correct. What matters is that you use the language. Every day, try to speak even 5 minutes in English. Talk to a friend, talk to yourself in the mirror, record your voice, read aloud from a book. The more you use it, the more comfortable your tongue and your brain become with the language. It is just like exercising your muscles. If you only read about how to lift weights, you will never become strong. But if you go to the gym and lift even small weights, your muscles will grow. Practice is the gym for your English. Many learners spend years studying English but never use it. They can pass exams, they can score high marks, but when a real conversation comes, they feel shy. Why? Because they never practiced. Knowledge without practice is like a car without fuel. It looks good, but it cannot move. On the other hand, even if your grammar is weak, if you practice speaking, you will move forward quickly. People will understand you because language is for communication, not for perfection. One of the fastest ways to practice is by listening and repeating. Watch English movies or interviews, pause the video, repeat what they say, copy the tone, copy the speed. At first, it will feel strange, but slowly you will notice your speaking is smoother. You can also read English newspapers or books out loud every day. Do not just read silently in your head. Reading aloud trains your tongue, your pronunciation, and your confidence. When you practice speaking, your brain starts to think in English instead of translating from your local language. That is when real progress happens. Another powerful way to practice is to surround yourself with English. Change your phone language to English. Write your daily notes in English. Think about your day in English. For example, when you wake up, say in your mind, I am brushing my teeth. I am making breakfast. I am going to work. These small sentences repeated daily build a natural habit. Slowly, your thoughts and your speech will connect. The most important thing to remember is that practice creates confidence. The more you speak, the less fear you feel. Mistakes will happen, but mistakes are teachers. Every wrong word you say brings you one step closer to saying it right. If you wait until your English is perfect before you practice, you will wait your whole life. Start practicing with your broken English, because broken English today is better than silent English forever. When you were a child, you didn't open a dictionary to learn how to speak your first language. You didn't sit with grammar books. You didn't study pronunciation charts. You didn't memorize vocabulary lists. You simply listened. You listened to your parents, your brothers, your sisters, the people around you. And slowly you imitated. You copied their sounds, you repeated their words, sometimes correctly, sometimes not. You were not afraid of mistakes because children are not afraid. And that is why children learn languages so fast. If you want to learn English very fast, you must go back to the most natural method, listen and imitate. Listening is not passive. It is active training for your ears, for your brain, for your mouth. Every time you listen to English, your brain is learning patterns. You hear how words are connected, how sentences rise and fall, how emotions are expressed. The more you listen, the more familiar it becomes. It is like music. If you listen to a song again and again, even without studying, the lyrics stick in your mind. The rhythm stays with you. That is what listening does for language. But listening alone is not enough. You must imitate. When you imitate, you are training yourself to speak like the native speakers you hear. Don't worry about sounding funny. Don't worry about copying too closely. That is the point. Imagine a child pretending to be a singer, copying every note. At first, it sounds strange, but day by day, their voice becomes stronger, closer to the real thing. The same happens with English. If you want to sound natural, you must first copy. There are many ways to do this. Watch English movies or TV shows. Don't just watch for the story, watch for the way people speak. Pause the scene, repeat the line exactly as they said it. Try to copy the pronunciation, the speed, the emotion. You may not get it perfect, but every repetition brings you closer. If you do this daily, your tongue begins to move differently. Your voice starts to flow with English rhythm. Listening to interviews or speeches is another powerful method. When you hear someone give a talk in English, focus on their tone. Do they sound excited, serious, calm, strong? Try to copy that tone when you repeat their words. English is not only about vocabulary, it is also about feeling. If you only learn words but not the feeling behind them, your English will sound flat. By imitating, you learn both the words and the music of the language. Songs are also a wonderful tool. Choose simple English songs, listen carefully, and sing along. Even if you cannot sing perfectly, the rhythm helps you remember words. Many people first learned English by singing songs again and again. Music makes imitation fun, and fun makes practice easy. Another trick is shadowing. Shadowing means listening to English audio and speaking along with it at the same time. It feels difficult at first because you must listen and talk together, but it trains your brain to process faster. You don't need to understand every word. The goal is to follow the flow, to train your mouth to move at the speed of English. Some learners make the mistake of only listening for meaning. That is good, but if you want to improve your speaking, you must listen for sound. Pay attention to how words connect, how letters disappear when people talk fast. For example, going to becomes gonna. If you only study grammar, you may never notice this. But by listening carefully and imitating, you learn the living language the English people really use every day. Don't worry if your imitation is not perfect. Perfection is not the goal, improvement is. The more you imitate, the more confident you become. Your accent will improve naturally, your sentences will sound more natural, and people will understand you more easily. Imitation is not copying forever, it is the bridge that takes you from silence to fluency. When most people try to learn English, they become their own biggest enemy. They sit silently, afraid to open their mouth, afraid that others will laugh, afraid of saying something wrong. But the truth is, mistakes are not your weakness. Mistakes are your teachers. If you are too afraid to make mistakes, you will never learn. Every successful person you admire today became successful because they made mistakes again and again until they grew stronger. Think about how you learned to walk when you were a baby. Did you stand up and walk perfectly the first time? No, you fell hundreds of times. Sometimes you cried, sometimes you hurt yourself, but you stood up again and kept trying. Nobody told you, stop, you are failing too much. Everyone around you encouraged you because they knew falling was part of walking. The same rule applies to learning English. Every wrong word, every broken sentence, every funny pronunciation is not failure, it is a step forward. Many learners wait until their English is perfect before they start speaking. But this day never comes. If you wait for perfection, you wait forever. Language is not learned in silence, it is learned in mistakes. When you make a mistake and someone corrects you, you remember it much faster. When you make a mistake and laugh at yourself, you remove the fear and build confidence. Fear blocks learning, courage opens the door. Imagine two students. The first one is shy, afraid to make mistakes, so he never speaks. He only studies books. He knows the rules, but when the time comes to talk, his mind goes blank. The second one is bold. He speaks with broken English. He makes 10 mistakes in one sentence, but he keeps trying. After 1 year, who will be better? The second one, because practice plus mistakes equals growth. The first student may look smart on paper, but the second student becomes fluent in real life. Mistakes are also proof that you are learning something new. If you only stay in your comfort zone, you will never grow. Growth only comes when you try something difficult and make errors. Think about learning how to ride a bicycle. At first you fall left, you fall right, but slowly you find balance. The falling teaches you balance. Without falling, you can never ride. Without mistakes, you can never master English. The world does not laugh at your mistakes as much as you think. In fact, most people respect you for trying. If you speak to someone in English and your grammar is wrong, they will still understand you. Communication is not about being perfect, it is about being understood. Even native speakers make mistakes. They forget words, they mispronounce names, they correct themselves. So why are you so afraid? One practical way to overcome this fear is to change how you think about mistakes. Instead of saying, I failed, say, I learned. Every time you make a mistake, write it down, practice it again, and you will see improvement. Another method is to speak in front of a mirror or record your voice. When you listen to yourself, you will hear mistakes you didn't notice before, and you can correct them. This is how progress happens through mistakes, not avoidance. Confidence is built like a muscle. The more you speak, the more mistakes you make, the stronger your confidence grows. At first, it feels uncomfortable, but soon it becomes natural. People who learn English fast are not those who know every grammar rule. They are those who are brave enough to make mistakes and keep going without fear. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with English is not because they don't know enough words, not because their grammar is too weak, but because they keep translating in their head. They hear a question in English, they translate it into their own language, then they prepare an answer in their language, and then they translate it back into English. By the time they speak, the conversation has already moved forward. This habit is like carrying heavy luggage when you are trying to run. Translation slows your mind, breaks your confidence, and makes your English sound unnatural. If you want to learn English very fast, you must train your brain to think directly in English. This is how real fluency is built. When you see an apple, don't think of the word in your local language first, just think apple. When you want to say, I'm hungry, don't first imagine the sentence in your mother tongue, just say it directly in English. The faster your brain connects ideas to English words, the faster you will speak and the more natural you will sound. Think about how children learn language. A child never translates. A child sees a dog, hears people saying dog, and connects the sound to the object. No translation, just direct connection. That is why children become fluent without studying grammar books. Their mind is trained to connect thought and language instantly. Adults can do the same, but it requires practice and patience. One way to train yourself is to surround your daily life with English. Change your phone, your computer, your apps to English. Every time you read, you will see English first, and slowly your brain will stop translating. Another method is to describe your day in English. When you wake up, say in your mind, I am brushing my teeth, I am making tea, I am going to work. This may sound simple, but it builds a habit of thinking in English directly without passing through another language. Another powerful exercise is to ask yourself questions in English and answer them in English. For example, what do I want to eat today? Or what is my plan for tomorrow? At first, you will feel slow, but slowly your brain will speed up. The goal is not perfect grammar. The goal is training your mind to respond instantly in English. Reading and listening can also help. When you read a book in English, don't translate every word you don't know. Try to guess the meaning from the context. This forces your brain to stay in English. When you listen to English, focus on the overall idea, not on translating word by word. The more you practice this, the stronger your English thinking muscle becomes. Another reason translation is dangerous is because it creates mistakes. Some phrases in your language may not exist in English, and when you translate directly, they sound strange. For example, in some languages you might say, close the light, but in English it is, turn off the light. By thinking in English, you learn expressions the way native speakers use them, and your sentences sound more natural. You must also accept that thinking in English feels uncomfortable at first. Your mind will try to return to your own language because it feels safe. But comfort never creates progress. Every time you force yourself to think in English, you are building new connections in your brain. Day by day, those connections become stronger until English becomes automatic. It is like learning to ride a bicycle. At first you wobble, you feel unstable, but the more you practice, the smoother it becomes. When people want to learn English, many of them start with excitement but stop after a few weeks. They practice for 3 days, then take a break for 5 days. They study for 1 week, then do nothing for the next month. This is why progress is so slow. Language is not learned in one big effort. It is learned through small, repeated actions every single day. If you want to learn English very fast, you must be consistent. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. 10 minutes every day is better than 5 hours once a month because your brain learns through habit, not through occasional effort. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth for 3 hours once a week. You brush them for a few minutes every day. That daily habit keeps your teeth clean and healthy. Learning English works the same way. A little practice every day builds stronger memory, stronger confidence, and stronger fluency. If you skip too many days, you forget, you lose rhythm, and you have to start again. But if you keep a steady routine, even if it is small, you will see growth over time. Consistency creates momentum, and momentum creates results. Curiosity is the second secret. Many people study English only because they are forced to by school or by work. They treat it as a subject, not as a living tool. But if you are curious, if you explore English with interest, learning becomes faster and easier. Curiosity means asking questions, noticing new words, paying attention to how people speak, enjoying the discovery of expressions and stories. When you are curious, learning is not boring, it becomes an adventure. For example, if you watch an English movie, don't just watch for entertainment. Be curious. Why did the character use this phrase? Why did they say it in this tone? What other ways could this sentence be spoken? When you are curious, you learn beyond the classroom. You start picking up slang, idioms, jokes, cultural references. This is what makes your English sound natural, not robotic. Consistency and curiosity together make a powerful team. Consistency keeps you moving forward, and curiosity keeps you motivated. Without consistency, you lose progress. Without curiosity, you lose interest. But when you combine them, you build daily progress with excitement. You are not just practicing, you are exploring. You are not just repeating, you are discovering. That is why some people learn English faster than others. They don't stop and they don't get bored. There are many ways to stay consistent. Create a small daily goal, like learning 5 new words or practicing speaking for 10 minutes. Write it down, track your progress, and reward yourself for staying on track. If you miss a day, don't give up, just continue the next day. Treat it like exercise. Some days you may not feel like doing it, but once you start, you are glad you did. Over time, these small actions become a habit, and habit makes learning automatic. Curiosity can be trained as well. Read books or articles that interest you, not only textbooks. If you love sports, read sports news in English. If you enjoy technology, watch English videos about new inventions. Follow your passion through English. This way, learning does not feel like work, it feels like fun. You will want to know more, and that desire will push you to keep improving. Another way to stay curious is to ask why. Every time you hear a new word or phrase, why do people say it like this? Why does this expression exist? Search for examples, try using it in your own sentences, and experiment with it. Curiosity makes you active, not passive. Instead of waiting for knowledge, you chase knowledge. That energy makes you learn faster than you ever expected. In conclusion, learning English very fast is not about talent, it is about mindset and daily action. Don't just study books, practice speaking every day. Listen carefully, imitate what you hear, and train your tongue with real conversations. Don't fear mistakes, they are your best teachers. Stop translating in your head and start thinking directly in English. Stay consistent even with small steps, and stay curious so learning feels exciting, not boring. If you practice bravely, listen actively, think in English, and never give up, fluency will come faster than you imagine.